Hello everyone. Okay, today's video, as you can see, my manufacturing for the candles is up and running. As you can see, I am now purifying tallow. I have a video just on tallow, on how to purify it with this machine. And like I said, it's a wonderful machine. But I need to do a warning and tips for this machine when you're using tallow and when you're using it for besides wax. Of course, like I mentioned, it's not in the manufacturing manual, and of course it's definitely not recommended from the company itself. One of the things, I just noticed that, okay. One of the things is that, first of all, they don't take a lot of electricity, each one, now that I have tested it. But nevertheless, I only use maximum one or two at a time. So right now, since I'm using the tallow is the most one that I worry about, and most versatile, dangerous because of the high temperature and scalding as wax, but as one of the things that definitely is not recommended because it does fry if you start putting it at a higher temperature than it's supposed to be. First of all, even my tallow that's right next to it that is purified, I never raise it more than the minimum that it has. So just as soon as you turn it on, that's the maximum you want that to be turned on. You're going to have to wait 2 hours sometimes, depending if your room is cold. Depending my room is cold, I have to wait 2 hours before all of that tallow is melted. And that is, it will raise itself to that temperature, and then the tallow will slowly melt at that temperature. That's what you have to understand. Yeah, in a half hour, the wax is going to be ready, but not the tallow. Okay, so this is the tip number one that you have to really remember. And don't try to raise it up because you're in a hurry. And I did that, and the next thing it starts to fry, and it starts to make really funny noises, actually scary noises, and you want to shut everything down. If you have, especially, you might have even damaged everything, and if you don't damage yourself. So don't even try to open it, because it could be scalding hot and just, okay? So make sure, because I made that mistake, that you wait the 2 hours if you have to wait 2 hours. And that goes for any other ingredient besides wax. Now, if you're purifying it, again, purifying it because you're adding water to it, you are going to raise it just slightly more than if you're just melting the tallow. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you have water first, and you want to have it at least a third of water, and you want to have the temperature. You want to watch until that it melts, just starting to melt, and then you leave it at that temperature for, again, 2 hours. And that, again, is very, very important. Well, the same thing is going to happen when it's too hot, and the next thing you think, you're frying stuff in there that you know you're supposed to be frying. Okay? And another very, very important tip that I thought, oh, it's okay. Tallow is tallow. I could just purify this big chunks. No. Don't. You can only purify tallow that's already been fried once. And that means you had fat and you fried it, and now you have liquid. It has become to hard temperature after you take it away from the frying pan that you have cooked with, and you pour it in the jar, and that is tallow. Then it has, when it has that white color that you see on the rim, when it becomes started to harden to room temperature, and that's tallow that you can use. You cannot use raw fat and produce tallow. Even if it's in the tallow and say, oh, I'm going to just produce squeeze more of this. No, because it starts, for some reason, it starts to get stuck at the bottom. Next thing you know, you got a problem. Okay? So this is all I wanted to mention. This is very much warnings and tips. Again, I am not recommending this. This is what I do. This is how I do it for me to make it. But I know all the dangers. Keep in mind of all the dangers. You don't want more than one of these to be used at the same time, unless you have, like I said, I have a bar on top of bar to make sure that it doesn't blow any fuse. All of this is my personal experience. Again, you're using this at your own risk, so don't leave it unattended. Be there if you're going to do anything like me. Okay? But remember, I'm not telling you to.